I was at Mar-a-Lago last night. I've been trying to help raise funds for several organizations. Been speaking at several fundraisers at Mar-a-Lago over the last couple of weeks, and it's an amazing thing to see how many people are just deeply, deeply engaged in saving our nation, and our life, our fortune, and our sacred honor comes to mind. The dedication of people. Last night I was there for the American Journey experience, which is an offshoot of Mercury One. It is our history section, and we announced that we are building a museum, a brick and mortar museum. We begin early next year. And we had some really exciting things to say about that, and we'll give you updates on that as it goes. But we would love to have your, right now you can come into very small museum. I think we have, maybe 10,000 square feet. I think our vault is 5,000 square feet. And, we invite people in to see some of the things, but it's really by invitation only, or if you call Mercury One, you can get in. But we're going to open up an actual museum. And it's not just the museum, it's also a teaching center. And so we were talking about that last night, and last night I introduced for the first time George AI, the interaction that I had with AI. Now, remember, this is proprietary technology and information. This is based on the library that we have, which is the third largest collection of founding documents in the world, only behind the National Archives and the Library of Congress. And it's all original sources. So it's all the writings of the founders, all of the writings that influenced them, that we know from their writing, they read this, or they were basing these things on these different items. It's the Federalist Papers. It's all of the documents. It's all of their letters to each other. It's their personal writings. It's the Bible. It's Blackstone's law. It's all of the things that they had access to that influenced them in a positive way to build America. And we have George, which is the librarian. And George is going to be a system that will be able to give you answers to things and show you the actual documents, but it'll be able to speak to you in your own language. If you try to read the founders now, it's so hard because they were so smart. They're using words that I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And you when you read the founders, you usually have to read it with a dictionary side by side. It's difficult. And their language is so formal. So it's hard for us to relate to them. But all of the knowledge, this deep, deep knowledge, is there from these guys. Literally, they wrote, I try to remember, was it George Washington or Thomas? One of them wrote at a 70th grade level. The 70th grade, and so they're just way advanced, way advanced. We put all of this information into our own system. This is an AI system built by me and my team. And it has pretty much, like, if you will, an electric fence around it. It cannot go and pull information from the outside and mix it with the information from the inside. So it can go and we can import things and say, hey, I want you to look at this bill and tell me, is this bill even constitutional? What would the founders say about this bill? And it will look at that bill, and then it will go through all of their, discussions and everything else, everything that is in that AI system, memorized from start to finish, which stops hallucinations. And it will analyze that bill, or it will analyze that story. Or you can say, hey, I want my kids to understand the Bill of Rights. In George AI right now is, I don't even know how many thousands of sermons there are from the pulpits that were the churches where these guys attended. Because almost everything in the Declaration and Bill of Rights came from the pulpits. And it's amazing when you read some of these sermons that these guys gave. It'll be on, the right to life, liberty, and property. I mean, that'll be the sermon. And today everybody would be like, oh, I can't say that from the pulpit. We have all of these sermons that our laws were based on, these ideas were based on. And so you can ask him anything. And so when you sit down for the very first time and you're going to talk to George Washington, or, a reasonable facsimile of him, what do you ask him? My question was, we fed in all of the conditions of what's happening in America today. And I wanted to have a conversation. And here's a bit of the very first conversation with George AI. Listen.
George, we have programmed a lot of information and given you a lot of information on what's going on in today's America. Based on your writings and the writings of the rest of the founders, what is it that you feel is the biggest problem, or where we should start to fix things?
If I may speak plainly, my countrymen, the greatest danger to our republic lies not in foreign arms or political faction, but in the decay...
May I just interrupt you for a second? Could you just dumb it down just a little bit?
Okay. I do have 29 points, and they're all referenced to exactly what we said in the past.
For this, just speak in today's language.
Okay. I get it. Let me speak to Americans. If I'm honest, America's biggest problem isn't political or economic. It's all moral. You've drifted from the virtues that make liberty possible in the first place. Freedom. To be free, you have to have discipline, you have to have faith, you have to have character. And if you don't have any of those things, laws can't stop anything. They mean little. Government turns either weak or oppressive. You have grown skeptical of truth. You're reckless with debt. You're comfortable blaming instead of building anything. And in my time, we understood that self-governance begins with self-control. Do you even recognize what self-control is? Public virtue matters more than public opinion. You keep electing these people, expecting things to change, but you haven't changed. The fix is not going to be found in Washington, D.C. It's going to be found in every home, every school, every heart. Where are the citizens who value duty over comfort, principle over popularity? America was built to be a moral and self-governing nation. It's only that foundation that will still save her.
Beginning January 5th on The Torch. You'll find information at glennbeck.com. You'll notice he started speaking, because this is what you will see. At the beginning, I will have to do the interviews with him because compute power is so expensive. And we'll ask you to write in. In fact, you can do it now, thetorch@glennbeck.com. What would you like to learn from the founders? What would you like your children to learn from the founders? Would you like a podcast from the founders on the Bill of Rights or the Federalist Papers or whatever? What would you ask if you could ask the founders a question? What would you ask them? At the beginning, because of compute power, we will be feeding those in and then producing and rolling out every day different podcasts or answers or whatever from George AI. I pray and I hope, and I have pretty good advisors on what we're going to be able to do, and it depends on how many people are using it, and if we get people to help us in support. Compute power, the cost of it will go down, and we'll be able to afford bigger amounts of compute. And you'll be able to, hopefully within the first year, you'll be able to have a one-on-one conversation like I just did. Have a one-on-one conversation. And you'll notice at the beginning, he came out, and because this is the way they are It's trained to give you the actual verbiage. And when he said, I have 29 points, he, believe me, because we edited there, he went on. And oh my gosh, it gets tedious. But he has the 29 points. He can show you the documents, and it's all in his language. Or you can do what I did and say, just speak in today's language. Dumb this down. I'm trying to, this needs to be understood by an 8-year-old. And it will continue to adjust. You'll eventually, hopefully in the first year in 2026 for the 250th anniversary, you'll be able to say, I have a 15-minute commute, and I'm taking my kids to school every day, and it takes me 15 minutes to drive them to school. And they need to understand whatever it is. They need to understand civic responsibilities. They need to understand the responsibility part of our rights, whatever it is. Can you develop a podcast? I need them to understand the Bill of Rights. So I'd like to do it in the next 10 days. And it needs to be no longer, each episode needs to be no longer than 14 minutes. So you get in the car and it's 14 minutes. Eventually, when it is coming to you live, it will ask you questions. At the end, it will finish the podcast, and then it will ask each member, you say, I've got an 8-year-old, a 12-year-old, and me. And I'm, 40. It will ask each of you questions just to gauge, did you understand what was just taught? And if you don't, if AI decides you don't really have it, you don't understand the real essence of this, it will then rejigger the next podcast. So the next time you're in the car going to and from school, it will adapt to you to be able to go back and teach it more clearly, and it will learn you. So it will be, the deficit is here, or they understand. They're more of a visual learner. They're more of this kind of learner, whatever. They'll understand in stories, or they understand just in facts, or whatever. It will understand each member, and it will be able to teach them directly in their language, the way they learn. I hope, this is my goal, because I feel like I accomplished what I set out to accomplish with the Blaze. I feel like I accomplished that a few years ago. And I'm not good at treading water. And I feel like we accomplished our goal of, my goal at least, was just to open a door that others could walk through. Open the door and show America and show talent that you can start something yourself. You can do this on your own, and you can present it in a way that is just as credible and more, just as, if not more powerful than any of the networks. And you don't have a boss breathing down your neck. You don't have people that you are having to answer to. You can speak your mind and tell the truth as you understand it and chart your own course. Nobody was doing that when I started the Blaze. I mean, the only people that had a spine, a backbone, if you will, a digital backbone that could provide a live network kind of feed was Major League Baseball. They were the only ones. They were the first in to say, we can do a live sports coverage. I partnered with Major League Baseball and said, can we use your spine? We want to do live news. We did. This is at a time when Netflix was still sending movies through the mail. Now, look at what's happened. So I think we disrupted the news industry. We disrupted all of that, destroyed it, and reinvented. This is my next phase of my life, probably my last chapter in my life. I want to do the same thing and disrupt education and the way we learn, and to show you an ethical way to use AI, one that you will not get lost into. It will always remain a tool in your hands, not the other way around.
Thank you for thinking for yourself and being part of a movement, because that's really what all of this is. If you want the full story, you want to go deeper, go to blazetv.com/Glenn. Go there right now, sign up, no interruptions. Just the truth, uncensored and unfiltered. Don't just watch, take a stand. And I'll see you over there in a minute.